On the day I gave birth. The situation was critical. I begged Blaine to sign the consent form for a cesarean section, but his mother wouldn't allow it. Through the door, he shouted urgently, "Astra, you must work harder. You can definitely give birth on your own." Later, I had amniotic fluid embolism and lost both my life and the baby's. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the age of 15. Blaine stopped me at the entrance of the village. "Astra, I heard you're also going to attend a technical secondary school?" For a short period of time after I took my last breath, my soul floated in my drawer. I heard my mother-in-law plopping down on the ground and wailing that the doctor had killed her precious grandson. Before that, she had always thought that I was carrying a daughter in my womb. I saw Blaine holding my body and crying bitterly, with tears and snot all over my face, when my mother rushed over. After crying for a while, she joined my mother-in-law in pulling at the doctor, demanding that the hospital compensate them 1 million yuan. 1 million yuan. So my life was worth that much. A voice rang in my ear, "It's time for you to be reincarnated." But I was really unwilling. Why had my life come to this end? "Do you want to live your life again?" "Yes, I'd fulfill my exash. I do." My consciousness suddenly plunged into darkness. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the age of 15. The loudspeaker in the village was broadcasting, although SARS has not affected our city for the time being. But Blaine let out a low sigh, wearing flared pants, stopped me at the entrance of the village. "Astra, I heard you're also going to attend a technical secondary school?" His young and tender face gave me a start. I lifted my foot and ran home. After running a few steps, I turned back and slapped him. "Beat you? You mummy's boy." He was completely stunned. It took him a while to chase after me and shout, "Astra, why did you hit me? What is a mummy's boy?" I ran all the way home in the direction of the setting sun. The courtyard was lively. My cousin aunt from the city had come back. She graduated from a technical secondary school in her early years, was assigned to a state-owned enterprise, and later married a colleague. The unit allocated a house to them. Since then, she had become a city dweller. She was the most successful person in the family and had great influence. At the moment, she was giving her opinions, although Astra was admitted to no. One middle school. Her score was at the bottom of the class. Girls don't have strong explosive power. Once they go to high school, they won't be able to keep up even more. The admission rate of no. One middle school is not good now. If you don't get into university, all your studies will be in vain. It's better to go to a technical secondary school. You can start working and earning money in 2 years. Then you can help Vesper pay for his tuition. And you too, husband and wife, will also have an easier time. At that time, my parents believed her. Seeing that she was about to keep talking, I interrupted loudly, "Dad. Mom. I want to go to high school." My cousin aunt kept chattering. I directly replied to her, "Cousin aunt, don't worry. We won't borrow money from you. Anyway, you won't lend it to us." She left in a huff. As night fell, the courtyard was plunged into darkness. My father scolded me, "You have no respect for your elders. How can you talk to them like that?" I repeated, "Dad. Mom. I want to go to high school." I knew that this was an era full of opportunities. But to seize the opportunities, one also needed a stepping stone. A university diploma was that stepping stone. My mother turned on the light in the main hall. The 5-watt light bulb was only a little brighter than a kerosene lamp. My father was puffing on his water pipe, and my mother let out a deep sigh. "Astra, you need to pay 1,800 yuan at the start of each semester in high school. Your father and I don't have the money. Now the price of rice is not good, and 2 of the pigs we raised at home have died. Your father and I have no ability. Your brother also needs money for his studies." In my previous life, they were the same. They kept talking about their hardships over and over again. I was young, inexperienced, soft-hearted and kind at that time. In the end, I compromised and went to a technical secondary school. Then I found that many of my classmates in the class had only half of my senior high school entrance examination score. Later, When my brother took the senior high school entrance examination, my parents scraped together money everywhere and paid a sponsorship fee of 5,000 yuan to send him to one middle school. At that moment, my world collapsed. But that's how life is. One wrong step leads to a series of wrong steps. I said word by word, I must go to high school. And I will find a way to get the tuition fee myself. My father exhaled his last puff of smoke and said, if you can get the money yourself, then go to high school. There was only a little over a month until the start of the school term. Even if I went to work in the county day and night, it was impossible for me to earn 1,800 yuan. I lay in bed at night, tossing and turning, trying to find a way. Finally, hadn't I thought of someone. At the break of dawn the next day, I went out to the village head to catch the first bus to the Kerti. It was hot in midsummer, and everyone got up early. I met Blaine's mother. My mother-in-law in my previous life. She put on a big smile and greeted me, Astra. Where are you going so early? Haven't you had breakfast yet? I boiled some eggs. Let me get you two. I got goose and stall over my body. It was a mix of anger and fear. Before I married Blaine, she treated me very well. After getting married, I realized that she was two-faced, especially when I couldn't give birth to a child for several years. She didn't have a good look on her face. Later, when I was pregnant, she insisted on finding someone to do a B ultrasound for me. When she found out it was a daughter, she sold all the chickens she had specially raised for my confinement. I took 3 steps back. I've already eaten. You're also going to a technical secondary school. You can go to the same school as my Blaine. No, I want to go to high school. I turned around and left. She shouted behind me, where do your parents get the money to support you? What's the use of a girl reading so many books? It's better to go out and work to earn money earlier. At the bus station, braving the scorching sun, I searched store by store and finally found foodie restaurant. The year I got married, there was a piece of news in the village. Uncle D from the same clan had sponsored several students, and one of them was admitted to Tingshui University. After that child graduated, he found Uncle D and insisted on giving him 300 yuan. At that time, the TV station even came to interview. The women in the village gossiped. With that much money, he didn't share any with the villagers but went to help people from outside. No wonder he can't have a son his whole life. It was a little past 10 o'clock, and there were not many customers in the small restaurant yet. I licked my chapped lips, snatched the dishcloth from Uncle D's hand and helped wipe the table while explaining my purpose. I'll write you an IOU. When I get into university, I'll pay you back with both principal and interest. Although my grades are at the bottom now, I will definitely study hard. Uncle D, having fulfilled my obsession. I know you've been sponsoring poor children. Please help me. As soon as I finished speaking, Auntie rushed out with a loud voice. What sponsorship? Evan. Who are you giving money to behind my back? No wonder the accounts in the store have never matched. She brandished a kitchen knife at Uncle D. Uncle D snatched back the dishcloth from my hand and explained. I don't have any money. The money is all with you. Don't listen to her nonsense. He snapped at me. If you're not going to eat, go back quickly. Don't affect my business here. I was wrong. I was too impulsive and eager. But Uncle D didn't give me another chance. He drove me out with a broom. I asked many stores in a row. Even if they were hiring, they only paid 600 yuan a month, and they required a minimum of half a year's work. Under the scorching sun, I was almost baked into a dried-up person. The cement ground was steaming, and the transparent plastic sandals made a hissing sound when I stepped on them. Could it be that even though I restarted my life, I still couldn't change my destiny? Was I only destined to go to a free technical secondary school, work on an assembly line, marry someone casually, and live a mediocre life? I hadn't eaten or drunk much water all day, and I felt like I had shed a layer of skin. When I was on my way back, I met Blaine's mother again at the entrance of the village. She clicked her tongue and said, "Stop making a fuss. You just don't have that kind of luck. It's much better to go to a technical secondary school with my Blaine." Blaine ran out of the house, holding a bowl of herbal tea in his hand. "Drink some tea. Don't get heatstroke." In my previous life, we went to work on an assembly line together. We earned 800 yuan a month, and each of us sent 600 yuan to our parents, leaving only 200 yuan for ourselves. The factory provided accommodation and meals. He gave all the 200 yuan to me. And sometimes he didn't even spend 10 yuan in a month. At that time, I thought he was the best person to me in the world. He was really nice. But unfortunately, he was a mummy's boy. I pushed the herbal tea back. No. Thank you. When I got home, my parents and my brother had just come back from the fields. Vesper said sarcastically, "You know how to hide. I didn't see you all day long. My back is almost breaking from the fatigue. Since I was a child, my parents had told me that as the elder sister, I had to take care of my younger brother and give in to him. I had been brainwashed like this all the time. It wasn't until they used the money I had sent back over the years to pay the down payment for my brother's house in the county, but only bought me 6 of the cheapest silk floss quilts as my dowry that I realized. It turned out that from the moment Vesper was born, I was destined to be the one to be sacrificed. My father could tell from my expression that things didn't work out. He sighed, "Now you know that 800 yuan is a large sum of money. Right?" My mother stroked my head. "Astra, your parents have limited ability. Don't blame us." Vesper said angrily, "I'm starving. Can we have dinner first?" At the dinner table, my parents said, "You can go to the same technical secondary school as Blaine. You can take care of each other. I want to go to high school, and I will get the money." My father slammed his chopsticks down heavily. "Do you need a beating to be obedient? It's already good enough for us to let you go to a technical secondary school. Other girls in the village all went out to work to support their families after graduating from junior high school. What more do you want?" My mother also tried to persuade me in a soft voice. But Mom and Dad, they didn't get admitted to one middle school. Moreover, this was already my second life. If I gave in again, and I deserved to be stuck in the mud for all my lives and never be able to turn things around. Just as we were at a stalemate, the black dog in the courtyard kept barking. The moonlight was dim. Uncle D was standing in the shadow of the big camphor tree, pushing his bicycle and softly calling me, "Astra. Come here." Uncle D gave me a stack of money. There were 100 yuan bills, 50 yuan bills, and also 5 yuan and 1 yuan bills. Some of the edges were frayed, but they were neatly stacked together. The dark clouds parted, and the gentle moonlight fell on his wrinkled face. He handed the money to me, and there was even an apologetic look on his face. "I don't have any more. You have to find a way to get your living expenses yourself." My eyes instantly turned red, and I took the money with trembling hands. "Wait a moment. I'll go back and get a pen and paper to write an IOU. Uncle D grabbed my arm. "No need. But you must be among the top 300 students in the grade in the final exam. Only in this way can you get into a decent university. And then I will continue to sponsor you." He paused. "I don't have a lot of money either. I just hope to help those children who are truly worthy." Uncle D even refused to come in and have a drink of water. He told me, "Don't let anyone know that I paid your tuition fee." I know. People laugh at those who have nothing and envy those who have something. The hearts of people in the countryside can sometimes be more straightforward and malicious. Debo rode his bicycle and left in a hurry under the moonlight. During the summer vacation, I picked up cicada sloughs, fished for snails in the river, caught crayfish, and used a net to catch wild small fish and shrimps when the river was in flood. All these things could be exchanged for money. Before the new term started, I secretly gave Daibo a big bag of dried shrimps. With the 100 yuan my mother gave me, I only had 300 yuan in total. Even if I ate steamed buns every day, I couldn't make it through a whole semester. Fortunately, I was quick-witted, and on the first day of registration, I went to see the headmaster. I explained my situation and repeatedly expressed that I would study hard and wanted to find a part-time job at school. He was really a good teacher. He flipped through my report card and thought for a while. Then he allowed me to clean and organize the library twice a week, and he would give me 150 yuan worth of meal tickets every month. At that time, the meat dishes in the cafeteria started at 2 yuan, and the vegetarian dishes were only 1 yuan. The 150 yuan worth of meal tickets greatly relieved my pressure. But not everyone was as kind as him. There were more than 700 students in our grade. I ranked nearly 600. I was assigned to an ordinary class. There were many sponsored students in the class. My seat was arranged at the back. The girl in front brought her own all-stool and blocked a large part of the blackboard. The self-funded student beside me never studied hard. As soon as the class started, he would pass notes and whisper. I didn't have a good foundation in the first place. And such a learning environment was really terrible. I reported the situation to the homeroom teacher. Mr. Lee. But he just said casually. Then you can go and exchange stools with her. Besides, study hard and get good grades in the midterm exam. And I'll change your seat for you. When I came out of the office, I heard Mr. Lee chatting and laughing with other teachers. She has neither good grades nor a good family background. And she has so many complaints. At that moment, I really wanted to rush in and slap him. But in fact, life has always been so cruel. If you don't have money, then you must have strength yourself. Otherwise, your voice will be buried, and your needs will be ignored. The kindness of Debo and the headmaster is a rare virtue. The snobbishness of Mr. Lee is the real situation. I must do my best to change my destiny. I don't want to get married casually and end up losing both my own life and the life of my child. During the break for the morning exercises, I made small cards of English words and stuck them on my palm. I could memorize about a dozen words while exercising. During the lunch break, while others around me were playing and laughing, I stuffed cotton in my ears and concentrated on solving problems. After the lights were out, the houses opposite the dormitory building would be lit up. I would stand by the window in the corridor and preview the next day's lessons by the faint light. One day, I was helping to organize the books in the library. A tall and thin boy came over with a red face. He asked the on-duty teacher Wang if there was a need for a part-time job. Teacher Wang pointed at me and said, "You're too late." The boy took a look at me and left disappointedly. While putting the books back on the bookshelf, Teacher Wang whispered to me, "That boy's name is Excel. He ranked first in the grade when he entered the school. I heard that his family condition is not good either." Excel. It was him. The boy who was sponsored by Debo and got admitted to Tingshui University. In the evening, I went to the cafeteria for dinner and met him again. There was only a serving of shredded potatoes and foil lying of rice in his lunchbox. After dinner, I talked with the canteen auntie. Then I went to class 1 to find Excel and said straightforwardly, "I just asked the cafeteria boss. She's hiring part-time workers. You need to help for half an hour during lunch and dinner time every day. They'll provide meals. And you'll get 100 yuan a month. Do you want to give it a try?" Excel clenched his thin hands into fists. And his face turned crimson. "Do I have to stand in front and serve the food? I. After all, he was still a 15 or 16-year-old kid who couldn't bring himself to do it. I sighed softly. "Well, how about this? I'll talk to Teacher Wang in the library and see if I can get you transferred to the library." He was stunned. After I had walked quite a distance, he caught up with me and asked, "Why are you helping me?" "Because I encroached on your interests. It should be that Debo divided the sponsorship that was originally for him and gave half of it to me. Which is why he was in such a difficult situation. Maybe because we're both poor." His Adam's apple bobbed. And he asked softly, "Aren't you afraid of being gossiped about by your classmates?" I looked up at him. The setting sun was dancing on his black hair, and the boy's face was both ashamed and confused. I said word by word, "In fact, what's really scary is not poverty, but the inferiority complex, timidity, sensitivity, and short-sighted tends that grow out of poverty. Because of poverty, we hesitate, fear failure, and dare not work hard, and finally miss the opportunity. But why should we be afraid of other people's strange looks when we earn money through our own labor? If you were the son of the cafeteria boss and you were standing there serving food to your classmates, would you be afraid of others' gossip?" Excel's pupils quivered, and the veins on the back of his hand bulged slightly. He said in a low voice, "My family was well off before junior high school. I smiled. He widened his eyes. "What are you laughing at?" I'm laughing that even an excellent student is not perfect. I held out my hand to him. Nice to meet you. An ordinary excellent student. My name is Astra. His damp palm touched mine. My name is Excel. He made up his mind. You can stay in the library. I'll go and ask the cafeteria boss myself later. The next day, I saw him in the cafeteria. His face was as red as a shrimp, and he didn't dare to make eye contact with anyone. His movements of serving the food were unskilled. And he was in a flurry. When it was my turn, I said loudly, "Classmate, I want a serving of shredded celery with pork. Give me more meat." He suddenly looked up at me, and a flash of a smile disappeared from his eyes. Then he served me a big spoonful of food. You see, it's kind of satisfying to have someone to rely on in the cafeteria. Of course, I had other reasons for helping him. The learning atmosphere and academic performance in the ordinary class were far inferior to those in the key class. Even the teachers didn't care as much. I wanted to find someone to help me study. Others didn't have that patience. But Excel did. Whenever I went to ask him questions, he would help me solve them. Over and over again. Until I understood. The results of the midterm exam were not satisfactory. I ranked over 400th in the grade. Excel comforted me. You have a weak foundation. The most important thing now is to lay a solid foundation. Don't be discouraged and give up. Of course I won't. I've endured hardships 1,000 times more difficult than this. So I don't care about this. Gradually, there were rumors in the grade. People said that I liked Excel and pestered him under the pretext of studying. Every time I walked together with Excel, there would be some busboy whistling. One day during the lunch break, I was called to the office. Teacher Liu, the homeroom teacher of Class 1, was also there. Mr. Lee looked very angry and scolded me non-stop. Your grades are poor. And you still want to provoke the top student in Class 1. You're a student now. And the most important thing is to study. Don't have all sorts of messy thoughts in your head. Besides, look at yourself in the mirror. Do you think Excel would like you? Teacher Yu frowned slightly and interrupted. Mr. Lee, don't scold the child like this. Student Astra, I'm not here to condemn you today. I just want to remind you that studying is your top priority. I patiently explained. I'm just asking him for help with my studies. I have no improper thoughts. Mr. Lee slapped the table. You're still being stubborn. If you have difficulties, why don't you ask the teacher? I looked at him defiantly. But every time I ask you, you just dismiss me with a few words. You don't really want to teach me well. Mr. Lee flew into a rage and reached out to hit me. At that time, corporal punishment of students was not considered a big deal. In the end, Teacher Yu stopped him. That afternoon, my seat was moved to the last row by the door. In front of me were two PE students who were 185 cm tall, and I was completely blocked. It seemed that people were secretly laughing at me for being a toad wanting to eat a swan. After the evening self-study class, Excel came to find me. We had known each other for almost 2 months. And this was the first time he took the initiative to find me. Astra, transfer to Class 1. Huh? His eyes were shining brightly. I've asked. There's a chance every semester. If you come to Class 1, no one will interfere with us anymore. His face turned red, and he quickly explained. I mean, let out a low sigh. Interfere with our studies. In order to motivate the students. At the end of each semester, the school would replace the last 6 students in the 3 key classes with the top 6 students from the ordinary classes according to their grades. I was a bit hesitant. Can I do it? If you can't do it this semester, then next semester. The corridor lights were dim, and Excel's eyes were as bright as stars. As long as you persevere, you will definitely be able to do it. Astra, I'll be waiting for you in Class 1. This final exam was of great importance to me. I had to rank at least in the top 300 of the grade so that Debo would continue to sponsor me. But actually, I wanted to be admitted to the key class even more to get a better learning environment and atmosphere. In the following days, except for sleeping, eating, and doing part-time jobs, I studied like crazy. After winter came, it got even colder. I didn't have money to buy a down jacket. When I read books in the corridor at night, I could only wrap all my clothes around me and keep walking to keep out the cold. The dormitory monitor pushed the door open quietly and put the down jacket on my shoulders. Don't catch a cold. The light bulb on the balcony of the house opposite had been replaced with a much higher wattage one for some unknown reason. The curtains were drawn tightly, and the light on the balcony often stayed on all night. Teacher Wang would snatch the rag from my hand. Go and study in my office. It's not busy in the library for the next half month. It turned out that as long as you work hard enough, the world will always show you a lot of kindness. It was extremely cold during the 2 days of the final exam. The school was merciful and actually turned on the air conditioner. Before that, the air conditioner had always been just for show. I was wearing too many clothes, and my back was all sweaty. The doors and windows of the classroom were tightly closed. My head felt a bit dizzy, and the frostbite tests on my hands and feet were warmed up, itching unbearably. I kept telling myself, Astra, you must stay awake. The report card would only come out a week later. I said goodbye to Excel and my roommates, and then took a car back to the village. The old 7-seater Jinbi van was crammed with 14 people, creaking as it drove on the muddy road. A middle-aged man was smoking in the car, and the child in the woman's arms was crying loudly. She lifted up her clothes and started breastfeeding the child. In 2003, the big cities were already bustling with traffic, but this remote small county town was still mired in mud, as stagnant as a pond of still water. I was a bit carsick. When I got to the entrance of the village, I got out of the car as if running for my life. Right in front of me was Blaine's mother. Blaine's mother smiled and asked, Astra, why do you look so pale? It seems you didn't do well in the exam. I've inquired. In the parallel classes of No. 1 middle school, very few students can get into good universities every year. Many of the women in the village also said the same thing. They said that my parents must have been out of their minds. Instead of cultivating their good son, they actually sent their daughter to high school. Wasn't this like making clothes for someone else's daughter? When I got to the pond beside my home, my mother was washing clothes. As soon as she saw me, she stood up holding her waist. Quick, quick. My back hurts. Hurry up and help me wash these clothes. I originally planned to study hard during the winter vacation to catch up with the gap. But there was always endless work to do at home. Washing clothes, cooking, feeding the chickens and pigs, hoeing the land and sowing seeds. When it was finally time at night, my mother complained that it was a waste of electricity for me to read with the light on. But Vesper would ride his bicycle around the village every day and didn't have to do any work at all. Every time I complained, my mother would protect him. He's a boy. How can he do these trivial things? Vesper would also roll his eyes at me. These are women's jobs. One day, I was cutting radishes in the kitchen. Vesper came in and ate one slice after another as I cut. He also complained about why I hadn't cooked yet. I was so angry, and I directly grabbed his hand and pressed it firmly on the chopping board, and said viciously, Vesper, I'm not the sister who used to work hard without complaint. If you do this again, I'll chop off your hand too. Believe it or not? At this moment, I released the demon in my heart and showed my gloomy and sharp fangs. Yes. I resented him. I hated his endless demands in the past. Hated that he couldn't be improved, no matter how much effort was put in. And hated that he had taken away all of our parents' love. After that day, Vesper became much more obedient and would also give me a hand. You see, love and tolerance can turn respect. Only by clenching your fists can others value and fear you. On the day the report card came out, I had to go back to school. My mother didn't care. Why waste the bus fare? Can you get an outstanding result? Blaine's mother was pounding clothes and laughing mockingly. Astra is probably going to bring back the first place in the whole school, right? Blaine ran out of the house. They're setting up a stage to perform an opera in 1G village today. Let's go and watch the opera. What's so great about getting the report card? After graduating from the technical secondary school in my previous life and entering the assembly line, I realized the importance of knowledge. I participated in the adult self-study exam, and after finishing the junior college courses, I took the undergraduate courses. Blaine would just keep playing with his phone and games. and often discouraged me. This kind of academic qualification isn't recognized outside. I don't know what you're busy with for nothing. Is reading more fun than playing games? I looked at him and smiled. Blaine. You go and watch the opera well. I don't want to be the same kind of person as you anymore. I missed the earliest bus and didn't arrive at school until 9:30. At the school gate, I met several self-funded students in my class getting out of a private car. Forrest whistled at me, who was in a hurry, and called out to me, Astra. Running faster won't add points to your final exam. The others burst into laughter. There were 3 honor rolls in the first year of senior high school: the total score list, the key class list, and the parallel class list. I squeezed forward desperately towards the parallel class list. The cold wind was howling, and the dark clouds covered the sun. But my heart was hanging high, burning hot. Would my name be among the top 6? The first place wasn't me. The second place wasn't me either. The third place wasn't me. The fourth place wasn't me. The fifth place wasn't me. My heart grew colder and colder. I took a deep breath before looking at the 6th name. I rubbed my eyes hard. At this moment, the sun peeked out from the thick clouds, and its rays of light shone down on the world. The 3 characters Astra were like having a halo, stabbing into my eyes. In just an instant, my eyes were already red. I don't know when Excel had squeezed beside me. He patted me. Astra. You're really amazing. I turned back to look at him, and tears suddenly rolled down. He was so flustered. You. Why are you crying? He fumbled around on his body but couldn't find a single piece of tissue. Finally, coming fulfilledly, he reluctantly offered me his sleeve. Stop crying. Wipe your tears with this. I wiped my tears hard on his arm, and just too happy. It turned out that I could really do it. It turned out that I deserved this brilliant winter sun. It turned out that I could also have a different life. Excel put his arm behind his back and smiled faintly. Astra. I'll be waiting for you in the key class. I still had to go to the classroom to get the specific report card. Teacher Lee was waiting at the classroom door. When I passed by him, I smiled happily. Teacher Lee. It's really a pity. I won't be your student next semester. The corner of Teacher Lee's mouth twitched, and he forced a smile. Forrest's uncle got promoted. So next semester, you'll still be my student. At this moment, the blood in my whole body felt as if someone had poured ice cubes into it, chilling me terribly. Teacher Lee patted my shoulder. Who asked you not to score 1 more point? Then it would be someone else who was pushed down. No. The problem wasn't about whether I scored 1 more point or 1 less point. It was that this rule was wrong from the beginning. But I'm too weak now. I can't change the rule. I can only change myself. There must be some way to remedy this. Hadn't I failed my assessor? There must be. I paced back and forth in the corridor restlessly. During this time, when Forrest passed by me, he even bumped into me. He smiled proudly. Sorry. This isn't really the place where you should be standing. Forrest swaggered away. Looking in the direction he left, I saw the head teacher of Class 1. The grade leader of the first year of senior high school. Teacher Liu. He was the opportunity. I took off running and squeezed into his office just before the door closed, grabbing his arm. Teacher Liu. Please admit me to the key class. I will definitely study hard. I will never hold others back. My grades are good enough. I ranked 6th in the parallel class. I know this is difficult. I'm begging you. Please give me a chance. When I was young in my previous life, I was ashamed to ask others for help. Looking back now, compared with a lifetime's future, what are a few words of pleading? Teacher Liu frowned, looking perplexed. Suddenly, the door of the office was knocked. Excel stood at the door, his figure upright. Teacher Liu. According to the grades, Astra should originally be able to. Teacher Liu frowned even more tightly. I quickly interrupted him. Excel. Shut up. Then, cutting fulfilled my session, I turned to Teacher Liu. Teacher. I have no improper thoughts about Excel. I just want to enter the key class. Any key class will do. If you have concerns. I took a deep breath. I can keep a distance from classmate Excel in the future. Excel's expression darkened a lot. Teacher Liu looked at me deeply. I don't object to normal interactions between classmates for the purpose of studying. You go home and wait for the news. I will try my best to fight for this for you. I went downstairs with Excel. He pursed his lips tightly and didn't say a word. When we got downstairs, he strode forward. I called out to him, "Sorry. Excel." People like us who are stuck in the mud must have the determination to leave everything behind and strive upward desperately. Only in this way can we succeed. I raised my hand and stretched out my 5 fingers towards the sun. Making a gesture of grasping in the air, I must have a knock on brick that is heavy enough. Do you understand? He stopped, turned back, and looked at me. Against the light. His expression was hazy and blurred. I understand now. He took 2 steps forward. And I could see the tenderness in his eyes clearly. I understand you. That I hope even more that we can be comrades who advance and retreat together and walk out of the predicament side by side. He had grown so rapidly. He was completely different from the him who was afraid to show his face when getting food a few months ago. It made me feel ashamed. When I got back to the village, Blaine's mother was killing the chicken that would be eaten the next day in the courtyard. The chicken was upside down, and the dark red blood dripped into the large chipped porcelain bowl. She asked me maliciously, "Astra, how did you do in the exam?" "Not bad. I ranked over 100th in the grade." Her expression froze, and she awkwardly swallowed back the mockery that had already reached her throat. The next day was the little New Year. My cousin aunt from the city came back. The whole big family got together for a meal. At first, she strongly opposed my going to high school. No. She dissed me in front of everyone. "I heard you were assigned to a parallel class. What kind of future can you have in a parallel class? It's just a waste of time." Many relatives at the table echoed her one after another. "A girl doesn't need to study so much. You're just not sensible. Look how tired your parents are. Marrying a good man is the most important thing." I said calmly, "In this final exam, I ranked 6th in the parallel class and 135th in the grade." There was a moment of silence at the table. My cousin aunt's face didn't look good. After a while, she clicked her tongue regretfully. "It's a pity you're a girl. How great it would be if Vesper had gotten such a result. But Vesper is also good. I heard that in this final exam, he ranked among the top 50 in your school? He still has great potential. Keep it up." The relatives all praised my younger brother one after another. Didn't they really know the difference in weight between ranking over 100th and no. 1 middle school and ranking among the top 50 in a rural junior high school? Of course they knew. It's just that in their eyes, girls are insignificant. And the hope of the family must be shouldered by boys. My cousin Ab glanced at me and said, "One final exam doesn't prove anything. You still have to get into the key class to have hope." Just then, let out a low sigh. My father's PHS rang. He wasn't used to holding the phone to his ear and always used the speakerphone. On the other end of the phone, Teacher Liu's gentle voice came. "Are you the parent of classmate Astra? I'm calling to tell the child that she can come to study in class 1 next semester. Astra is smart, sensible, and motivated. You're really lucky to have such a daughter." I don't know how much effort he had put in and how many things he had done to get such a result. I snatched the phone and said thank you with a choked voice. Teacher Liu smiled. "This is what you deserve. Have a good new year with peace of mind." After hanging up the phone, the whole table was silent. My paternal cousin seemed to be grinding her teeth and forced a smile as she said, "You're really lucky." I was lucky indeed. But all my good luck was earned through my own efforts. Although most of my relatives didn't have high hopes for me, there were still people who would applaud for me. It was Uncle Debo. He also returned to the countryside on the 28th day of the lunar month. After all, this was his hometown, and he always came back for the spring festival. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, I went to his house to pay my New Year's respects. While his wife went to pour tea, he patted my shoulder with satisfaction. "I heard that you've been admitted to the key class. That's really great." He secretly stuffed a stack of money into my hand. "Put it away quickly. This is the tuition fee for the next semester. The extra is your lucky money. By the end of your first year of senior high school, you have to be in the top 100 of the grade." Auntie didn't like me very much. Or rather, she disliked everyone in this countryside equally. Due to health reasons, She couldn't have any more children after giving birth to a daughter. Countless people criticized her behind her back, calling her a hen that couldn't lay eggs. Some people even instigated Uncle Debo to divorce and marry another woman to carry on the family line. Although Uncle Debo's small restaurant was doing very well, the villagers would always say, "What's the use of earning so much money? He doesn't even have a son. Is he going to spend all that money on his grandchildren in the future?" Auntie brought me a cup of ginger, salt, and bean tea. It was so salty. I knew my place. After taking 2 sips, I quickly got up to take my leave. When I got home and counted the money, Uncle Debo had given me 100 yuan. He even gave me 300 yuan as lucky money. In his small shop, a serving of stir-fried pork with chili on rice only cost 5 yuan. It was hard to imagine how many dishes he had to cook to earn 100 yuan. During the first lunar month, I wasn't idle either. I went to the mountains and dug a lot of winter bamboo shoots. Before Uncle Debo returned to the county town, I sent him a sack of winter bamboo shoots. I left right after delivering them. Auntie chased after me and stuffed 50 yuan into my hand, saying, "I'm not taking these for free. Take this and buy yourself a new piece of clothing." A major event happened during this spring festival. A female college student who graduated from the neighboring Wangjia village 2 years ago bought an apartment in the provincial capital with a loan and brought her parents to live with her. She even managed to get her younger brother to study in the provincial capital. This incident caused a great stir in the countryside. It turned out that studying well could bring such great benefits. On the 12th day of the first lunar month, we were going to start school again. The night before, my father gave me 100 yuan. "From now on, we'll give you 100 yuan for living expenses every month. You have to figure out the rest on your own." I was a bit touched at that moment. But then he said something: "Study hard, get into a good university, and help the family and your younger brother more in the future." My heart instantly turned cold again. The next day, I went to class 10 to pick up my books and odds and ends. Those self-funded students were all there. They no longer whistled at me. Instead, they all stared at me as I packed my things. I packed all my belongings into a supermarket plastic bag, and then I waved at them with a smile and said, "Goodbye." When I arrived at class 1, I found that Forrest was also there. After thinking about it, I probably understood the situation. As the grade leader, teacher, you could have transferred a student like Forrest, who was at the bottom of the class, to another class. But in order to bring me up as well, he had to make a compromise and bring Forrest into class 1 together. Excel was sitting in the best seat in the middle of the classroom. When he saw me, his eyes curved into a smile, and he gave me a gentle smile. I smiled too and waved at him as a greeting. Before I could finish waving, I heard Forrest sneer, "You're really persistent. Do you think you can change anything just because you've entered class 1? Even if you get into a university, you'll only be able to work for people like me for the rest of your life." I pulled my hand back and replied calmly, I know, but with hard work, there's always a chance. Forrest, the class divide will always exist, but you won't necessarily always be on the upper rung. When it comes to studying, you have to admit that some people are just talented. For the same essay, Hudding Toffel Wand Sasher, Excel could remember about 70 to 80% of it after reading it 2 or 3 times. But I had to recite it 10 times. For the same math problem, Hudding fulfilled me, he could solve it in a few minutes. But it took him 3 explanations for me to barely understand it. Studying is like climbing a mountain. It's not difficult to climb from the foot of the mount into the halfway point. But to climb further from the halfway point, every step will widen the gap between you and others. I tried my best and didn't slack off. In the final exam of my first year of senior high school, I ranked 95th in the grade. I just managed to squeeze into the top 100. This was already very good, according to the admission rate in previous years. If I could maintain this level, it wouldn't be a problem for me to get into a key university. Excel and I became desk mates. At first, the teachers of various subjects paid special attention to us. After all, they were worried that I might have a bad influence on him. Later, when they realized that we were really just a study group that encouraged each other, they let us be. Excel could probably receive about 20 love letters a week. Once, looking at those envelopes, I was a bit jealous and said, "This is the treatment of the top student in the grade. Only people as shining as you have a youth like this. For an ordinary person like me, even if I could live my life again, I still wouldn't have any love in my life." He threw all those letters into the trash can and looked at me seriously, saying word by word, "These are not the kind of youth I want." "Then what kind of youth do you want?" "Having a firm goal, working tirelessly, and never giving up." He smiled at me. "This is what I want." "Very good. It should be like this." At the end of the first semester of my second year of senior high school, I ranked 65th in the grade. At the end of the second semester of my second year of senior high school, I ranked 49th in the grade. For the first time, I made it into the top 50 of the grade. After the report card came out, Teacher Yu called me to his office and said, "Astra, you must hold on. No matter how hard or tiring it is. It's just this 1 year. If you improve your grades a bit more from where you are now, it won't be a problem for you to get into a good 985 university." Excel was still the top student in the grade. Looking at my report card, he smiled so happily and said, "Astra, you're so amazing." I went to Uncle Debo's restaurant and reported this good news to him. It was extremely hot in the midsummer, and there was a lot of cooking fumes in the kitchen. The strong smell of chili peppers made his eyes red. "Good, good, right. Good. You're really something." I helped to serve the dishes to the customers. When I went back to the kitchen, I saw him counting the money with his fingers dipped in saliva. "You should focus on your studies in your third year of senior high school and don't do part-time jobs anymore. I'll give you 250 yuan for living expenses every month. It should be just enough." "No. No. I'm already very grateful that you're paying my tuition fees. Listen to me. If you're really grateful to me, getting into a good university is better than anything else." His eyes were red. When my daughter wanted to go to senior high school, I was poor and short-sighted at that time. So I asked her to go and work in Guangdong. She still hates us to this day. "Take it, child." He handed me that stack of neatly arranged money. Just then, Wadanawa sigh. The greasy curtain was lifted, and Ante came in carrying two newly sharp and shiny kitchen knives. At that moment, all the hairs on my body stood on end. Uncle Debo was even more covered in cold sweat, and his hands couldn't stop shaking. Auntie gave me a cold look, then looked at Uncle Debo, and snorted heavily. "What are you standing there for? Didn't you hear the customers outside urging for their dishes?" She snatched the money from Uncle Debo's hand and stuffed it into my trouser pocket. Holding the two kitchen knives, she said to me, "If you don't get into a good university, I'll chop you up and stir fry you with chili peppers." I was so shocked that my mouth opened and closed several times, and I didn't know what to say. Auntie said impatiently, "Get out. Get out. The kitchen is so small that it's hard to move around with so many people here." I went home with the money in my pocket. There was a gloomy atmosphere at home. Vesper's senior high school entrance examination results came out, and he was 30 points below the admission line of No. 1 middle school. My father was smoking a Xi'an Sinayo cigarette and said, "We still have to send him to No. 1 middle school. He can't farm for the rest of his life." My mother chimed in. "His eyes are already 400 degrees nearsighted. How can he farm? But to get Vesper into No. 1 middle school with his grades, the sponsorship fee would be 50 yuan." My parents sighed and kept looking at me. I was doing the real exam questions from Huangdang. I just pretended not to hear them. At around 2 o'clock in the morning that day, I was woken up by the heat. There were 2 fans at home. One was used by my parents, and the other was given to Vesper. I didn't have one. There was only a faint moon in the sky, and the light in the room was dim. My parents were holding flashlights and rummaging through my school bag. She should have already received the tuition fee for the next semester from Uncle Debo. I don't know where she put it. It turned out that they had always known that Uncle Daibo was sponsoring me. At that moment, I felt as if I had fallen into hell. Holding back my anger, I asked, "What are you looking for?" The two of them froze for a moment. My father turned on the electric light in the room. He had a stern expression on his face. Your younger brother needs to pay 5,000 yuan to go to senior high school. I know you have money on you. Take it out and let your brother use it first. What about me? We'll think of another way. If we really can't come up with a solution, you can stop studying and go to work in Guangdong. You can just support your younger brother's high school studies. The most cruel words in the world couldn't be worse than this. Right? Why should I? I couldn't hold back any longer, and tears streamed down my face. Am I not your child? I have good grades. I'm hardworking and motivated. I've made it into the top 50 of the grade. Why should I give in for him? Can't you be a little fairer? Just because he's a boy? Do you even deserve to be called parents? If in my previous life, I wasn't firm enough and didn't work hard enough, but now, I've changed all that. Am I not worthy of them taking a few more looks at me? Even though I'm shining like this? My father flew into a rage out of embarrassment and threw the flashlight at me, shouting, "Have you wasted all your studies? Is this how you talk to me?" I didn't dodge. The flashlight grazed my forehead, leaving a deep cut. My father didn't even apologize and turned around and left the room. My mother found a piece of ragged cloth and pressed it against my wound. She kept sighing and said, "You know your father's temper. Why are you arguing with him? He's been good enough to you." Really? The blood blurred my vision, and I gave a bitter smile. Mom. He's a man. I can understand that he can empathize with me. But you're a woman too. Why are you also an accomplice? Do you also think that only boys are worth cultivating? You've seen my efforts with your own eyes. My mother didn't dare to look me in the eye. She stammered, "But Astra, you'll have to get married someday. Your father and I will rely on your younger brother to take care of us in our old age. This is how it is in every household in the village. Your father and I have already endured a lot of pressure to send you to senior high school. If you go to school and your younger brother doesn't, we'll be laughed at by the villagers. Your father and I have raised you so much. Shouldn't you also show some understanding for us? In my previous life, I was too understanding of you. Little by little, step by step, I gave up my own life. In this life, I will never give in again." When my mother saw my ugly expression, she rubbed her hands on her legs, then, "What do you think of this? You give this money to your younger brother first, and then you go and borrow some more from Uncle D? He runs such a big store, so he should be able to afford it." At that moment, my anger rushed to the top of my head. Mom, how could you say such a thing? Even if Uncle D has 100 million yuan, he earned it through hard work. Kind people should be thanked, not exploited. Mom and Ishara, please be decent parents. Early the next morning, I packed my luggage and went out with my school bag on my back. My father stood at the door with a carrying pole. "Where are you going?" "Back to school." He raised the carrying pole. "Your younger brother needs to study. And you don't care about it at all? You're so selfish and only care about yourself. I'll beat you to death with this carrying pole." I walked towards him step by step, with a challenging gaze, "Then beat me to death. Anyway, if you don't let me continue my studies, it's no different from killing me. If you insist on blocking me today, then we'll cut off all ties. Even when you die in the future, I won't cry at your graves." My father was so angry that his face turned red. The veins on his arms bulged out, and he held the carrying pole high in his hand. I ignored him and continued walking. The situation was getting out of control. Just then, Vesper came out of the house. He grabbed my father's arm. "Let her go. She's a good student. But I'm not." I looked at him in surprise. He gave me a fierce glare. "What are you looking at? Hurry up and leave." In my previous life, when Vesper took the senior high school entrance examination, I had just been assigned to the assembly line. At that time, my parents called me and begged me to find a way to. Vesper ordered me around on the phone. "You're working now. You should at least prepare 2,000 yuan for me." Later, I advanced my salary and borrowed money from here and there, and sent 2,000 yuan back home. At that time, I didn't get to go to high school myself, and I hoped that he could achieve something. But in the end, he only got into a junior college. Thinking about it now, in my previous life, under the brainwashing of my parents, I blindly indulged and accommodated Vesper. Everything at home revolved around him. So he took it for granted and never cherished it. But after being reborn, because of my resentment, I didn't have a good attitude towards him. I always talked to him harshly and never spoiled him. Perhaps that's why. Instead, a bit of his kindness was preserved. I met several elders on the way. They all asked me to understand my parents' difficulties and be sensible and share the burden. They blamed me for having a bad temper and being impolite. Blaine's mother even said that the most important thing for a girl was to get married and have children. What was the use of studying so much? Taking advantage of the right age. Having a son as soon as possible was the most important thing. This backward and closed-off countryside was really suffocating. I must escape from here. I will never be trapped here for a lifetime like in my previous life. Thanks to teacher's communication, the dormitory supervisor opened the door and let me move in. I didn't have to do any farm work, and I could focus on my studies wholeheartedly. It felt really great. Because of the makeup classes. The summer vacation was very short, and soon everyone returned to school and started classes. I didn't call home for more than a month. Soon, when the lower grades started school. During the break exercise one day, Vesper actually came to find me. After all, he still came to study at one middle school. He carried a big bag. Mom asked me to give this to you. He handed me a stack of 10 yuan bills. Dad said my monthly living expenses are 300 yuan. But he gave me 400 yuan. The extra 100 yuan should be for you. In the bag were pickled copious and white copious packed in mug and ma bottles, as well as stir-fried minced meat with white chili peppers. I don't like ginger. There wasn't a single piece of ginger in these pickled dishes. I felt mixed emotions in my heart. You see, these are parents. They always give you a hard slap, trying to train you into the kind of child they want. But they will also give you a small piece of sweet date, so that you know they love you a little bit. I've lived twice, and I still can't get rid of this feeling. One day after I finished my meal, I passed by the bulletin board. The honor roll of the senior grade 3 hadn't been taken down yet. Vesper was wearing a military training uniform and standing there with several classmates. Someone pointed at the list. Astra, Vesper. These names match you so well. And she has such good grades. Under the setting sun, Vesper raised his chin proudly and said, "That's my sister." After the evening self-study class ended, I went to find Vesper. I gave him all the notes I took in my first year of senior high school. After the senior high school entrance examination, I had a dream. I dreamed that I went to a technical secondary school, entered the assembly line, married someone casually, and finally, when giving birth, I had an accident and died in the hospital. The light in the corridor was dim, casting a pale glow on my face. It turned out that the more than 30 years of my previous life could be summed up in just one sentence. I looked at Vesper. And you? You entered one middle school as a self-funded student, became addicted to games, and finally got into a junior college and couldn't find a good job. It was hard for you to have a girlfriend. But she left you because she thought you were poor. Vesper, I don't want my life to be as miserable as that dream. So I'm working hard. As for whether you want to muddle through your life or strive to change your life now, it's up to you to decide. I threw the notes to him and turned to leave. I didn't go home for a whole semester. Sometimes my mother would ask Vesper to bring me something. I studied day and night. In my previous life, I self-studied for a junior college and a bachelor's degree. But compared with the real college entrance examination, the previous studies were insignificant. To be among the top 50 in the grade, either you work hard enough, or you have talent, or, like Excel, you have both talent and hard work. As soon as I slack off a little, I will be overtaken by others. Sometimes I think, it's already like this in a high school in a small county town. What about in a key high school? In the whole province? Or even in the whole country? I'm just a drop in the ocean. However, even if I'm just an invisible speck of dust, I will do my best and rise with the wind. Maybe I'll land on the top of a mountain and become a grain of sand overlooking the mountains. Maybe I'll land on a tall building and share the same breath and destiny with the hustle and bustle of the city. In short, I won't be stuck in the mud of Mengshan village anymore. Sometimes I'm so tired that I don't even want to talk. I also have moments of doubt, having lived my life again. Why can't I be as powerful and successful as those in novels? Every time at such moments, it's Excel who holds me back. In April, the night is still cool. He smiled at me under the brilliant starry sky and said, "Hold on. We'll be victorious soon." The winter jasmine flowers bloomed and then withered. The little gardenias secretly formed flower buds. I don't know since when. When passing by the small guard and downstairs of the senior grade 3 building, there was a faint fragrance floating in the air. The gardenias were in bloom. The college entrance examination finally arrived. This was to test the results of my 3 years of hard work, and also to test whether I made the right choice after being reborn. I was very lucky. The examination room was in our own school. It rained heavily on the 2 days of the college entrance examination. The raindrops hit the glass, making a crackling sound. I suddenly remembered that it was also such weather on the day I gave birth. My cries of pain and pleas were scattered by the heavy rain. My mother-in-law's curses outside the door and Blaine's shouts for me to hold on a little longer, were like drums pounding on my chest. That time, I walked towards death in the heavy rain. This time, I will welcome a new life in the thunderstorm. After the last exam ended, I came out of the examination room and saw Excel also walking out of the classroom at the end of the corridor from a distance. The continuous today heavy rain had stopped at some point. A summer rainbow hung in the sky. He smiled faintly at me across the surging crowd. I smiled too. As I smiled, tears streamed down my face. During the days waiting for the results to come out, I went back to the village. In the past 3 years, in this backward mountain village, only Vesper and I had entered one middle school. Other children either went to work in Guangdong as soon as they graduated, or they first went to a technical secondary school and then entered the assembly line. The villagers' impression of me was still that I entered one middle school at the bottom of the class. For a girl to be good at studying wasn't something worthy of being widely publicized to bring honor to the family. So, the women would ask, "Astra, can you get into a regular university? If you get into a third-tier university, your parents definitely won't be able to afford to support you." Blaine's mother clicked her tongue and said, "I've always said that going to high school is useless. Look at my Blaine. He started working last year and has already sent 5,000 yuan back home one after another." For a moment, the women were full of envy and praised Blaine's mother for her excellent way of raising children. Limited by their vision, they thought that the 5,000 yuan in front of them was much more reliable than the uncertain 50,000 or 500,000 yuan in the future. Blaine's mother smiled and looked at me. "Astra, you're not young anymore. Why don't you go to work with Blaine this time? Later, you can be my daughter-in-law. I won't treat you badly." My cousin aunt had a bit more knowledge. "After all, you're from the key class of one middle school. You should be able to get into a second-tier university, right? But now, second-tier universities aren't very popular. If you don't graduate from a key university, this academic qualification isn't of much use." But at the beginning, she clearly said that graduating from a technical secondary school was already good. 2 days before the exam results came out, Excel called me. "Astra, have you decided which school to apply to? We'll see according to the score." He paused. "Both Tingshui University and Peking University called me. I want to ask which city you want to go to." Having lived 2 lifetimes, I quickly understood what he meant. It doesn't matter where I go, Excel. The key is where you want to go. With your intelligence, only Tingshui University and Peking University are worthy of you. You should be responsible for your own life and the talent that God has given you." There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. Finally, having fulfilled my absai, he said softly, "Then I'll go to Tingshui University." On the day when the official results came out, it was a sunny day. Uncle Wang in the village was building a new house, and was going to put up the roof beam that day. All the labor force in the village was invited to help, and my father was no exception. Nearly at 12 o'clock, I went to him to borrow the PHS to make a call. There were a lot of people at Uncle Wang's house. It was lunchtime. and everyone was sitting under the shade of the trees, eating and chatting. Blaine's mother was also there. She smiled and said, "Astra wants to check her score. Just check it here and let everyone hear it." I dialed the inquiry number. After a long wait, in the eyes of everyone's attention, the other end of the phone began to announce the scores. 14 Chinese, 128. Mathematics, 127. English, 138. Comprehensive Science, 274. Total score, 667. The test paper that year was a bit difficult, and the first-tier university admission score for science was 547 points. I can be said to have performed exceptionally well. At this moment, I felt as if I was floating in the air, and my feet felt soft, as if I was stepping on cotton, and it felt very unreal. Was this really my score? Was this the score belonging to someone who was originally going to a technical secondary school? My father threw down the chopsticks in his hand and stood up with a whoosh. "Play it again. Please." I didn't catch it clearly. In the speakerphone, the mechanical female voice announced my score again. The lively dining table was now so quiet that the rustling sound of the wind blowing the leaves could be heard. My father looked at his phone. Then at me. He looked at me. Then at his phone again. He asked in a trembling voice, "With this score, which school can she get into?" I smiled softly. "She can get into most schools across the country." Even though there wasn't anyone at the table who had attended high school, everyone still had an idea of what it meant to score 120 points above the first-tier university admission line. Uncle Wang took out a large plastic wine jug from the house. "Brother Vesper's father. This is great news. Hurry up. You should have a few more drinks today." Blaine's mother murmured, "Could there be a mistake? Your grades weren't that great before." "Just a little better than Blaine's. Turns out it's so easy to get into a university. I should have let Blaine go to high school too." In the midst of the excitement after drinking, my father had a rosy face and said with a smile, "It's a pity that Astra is a girl. If she were a son, that would be perfect." Everyone nodded in agreement. Uncle Wang said, "Your son Vesper is also studying in No. 1 middle school. Since Astra can get such good grades, Vesper should be able to get into Tingshui University, or Peking University." Upon hearing this, my father laughed heartily. "There's really a chance of that. My son has been smart since he was a child." Their conversation then shifted to the sons of each family. The midday sun was blinding and scorching hot. My back and forehead were covered in sweat. Changing these outdated concepts has never been something that can be achieved overnight. But I believe that at least today, they will have a little bit of realization. Girls are also worthy of cultivation. Taking my own score into account and combining it with teacher Yu's suggestions, I finally applied to Zhejiang University. My father fetched the admission notice from the village entrance. He used the notice as a fan to cool himself. The 10-minute journey took him over an hour to get home. When he came back, he took out a large handful of loose cigarettes from his pocket. They were all Jinbi Aisha cigarettes. He clicked his tongue and said, "Everyone has good cigarettes at home, but they're reluctant to share them with guests. Usually, Keding Foftoble and Sash. They just offer Xiang Sinai cigarettes." My paternal cousin brought her daughter back to our hometown during the summer vacation. Her daughter was in the first year of senior high school at a regular high school in the city. She put on a big smile and praised me. "Astra, I always knew you were promising. Your sister has a serious problem with subject imbalance. Since you're free during the summer vacation, why don't you give her some tutoring?" She pushed her daughter forward. "Your elder sister has been admitted to Zhejiang University. She's really amazing." I smiled and said, "My homeroom teacher introduced me to a few tutoring jobs, which pay 15 yuan per hour. Auntie, if you want me to tutor your daughter, I'll arrange your time first." My paternal cousin's expression changed slightly. "We're family. Do you still want money for tutoring?" Even brothers settle accounts clearly. My paternal cousin laughed awkwardly. "Knowledge can be effectively transformed into money. Excel charges 20 yuan per hour for tutoring students, because he is a student from Tingshui University. As for me, I charge 15 yuan per hour. There is another classmate in our class, and her quotation is 12 yuan per hour. Teacher, you found a house for me. The landlady doesn't charge me rent. She just wants me to help tutor her daughter's homework every day. Her daughter is only in the 3rd grade at primary school. You see. Under the same sky. In the same county town. Parents in this world are not all the same. Some parents are eager to break their children's wings, while others plan ahead and want to support their children to soar as early as possible. I teach for 4 hours a day. And the parents of the students will also give me milk and seasonal fruits. I earn 60 yuan a day. My father works as a day laborer during the slack farming season. He works for 10 hours a day, exposed to the wind and sun, but only earns 30 yuan. Perhaps it was from this moment on. My parents truly realized that I was different from before. They realized that the heights a female college student could reach in the future were beyond what they had imagined before. After class that day, I unexpectedly met Vesper on my way back. He came out of an internet CAF with a few classmates. When he saw me, he was instantly flustered and quickly explained. It's a junior high school classmates gathering. I'll go home tonight. I was very calm. It's your own business. You can arrange it yourself. I turned to leave. And he chased after me. He looked very aggrieved. Astra. Have I offended you? Why are you treating me like this now? You weren't like this before. He shouted at me. Are you still my sister? The setting sun was shining brightly, illuminating the glistening sweat on his forehead. I took a deep breath and said slowly. Vesper. Born into a family and environment like ours. Everything can only depend on ourselves. If you do your best to change your life, I can give you a hand. If you're willing to degenerate, I will never reach out. Because I don't want to sacrifice my own life as well. If you think I'm selfish and don't recognize me as your sister, it doesn't matter. I don't care either. Vesper's expression changed. He was breathing heavily, as if he had countless words he wanted to shout at me. However, after a minute of confrontation, he dejectedly lowered his head. Sorry. I'll start studying hard tomorrow. My university tuition was paid for by a loan. My mother counted out 5 crumpled 100 yuan bills and gave them to me. She told me, when you're in a foreign place, you must be cautious in your words and deeds. Don't offend anyone. Everything should be based on harmony. Spend the money sparingly. You know our family's financial situation. I pushed the money back. I can earn the money myself. You keep it for yourselves. My mother praised me for being sensible with red eyes. Little did she know that in fact, I just didn't want to owe them a favor. By not accepting their kindness, I can be more indifferent in the future and won't feel guilty. Uncle Debo found me privately and gave me 2.0 yuan. I didn't take it. After entering university and going to a big city, I will have a lot of opportunities. Uncle Debo. Thank you. Thank you for saving me back then. Uncle Debo smiled. I'm also making up for my regret. The prosperity of Hanghouse is far beyond that of a small county town. Many classmates who came from small mountain villages took a long time to adapt, but I didn't need to. Because I had seen greater prosperity. I already had a weighty enough stepping stone. Now, it was time to use my fork and wall to completely change my own destiny. The opportunity came quickly. Bonnie, my roommate, actually came from a family that owned a garment factory. But now it was on the verge of bankruptcy. At that time, in Jiangsu and Zhejiang, there were many such garment factories. And the products they produced were all more or less the same. If there was no advantage, it was very easy to be eliminated. She gave us a bunch of t-shirts whose cost was said to be only a little over 1 yuan each. These simple and plain clothes, however, made me smell a business opportunity. It was 2006. Taobao had already emerged. But it wasn't very popular yet. Only a few avant-garde people who were willing to try would shop online. At that time, there was no free shipping. And there was no 7-day no reason return policy. Whether you could buy something suitable or not depended purely on luck. During the National Day holiday, I went home with Bonnie and explained to her father the bright future prospects of opening a store on Taobao. In the early days of Taobao stores, most of them were middlemen making a profit from the price difference. We could open a direct factory-operated store. In this way, hadn't fulfilled my shop. We could reduce the cost and be among the first to occupy the market. The required cost wasn't much. We could find models and photographers among college students. They had time, were willing to revise and cooperate repeatedly, and were relatively inexpensive. I already had a candidate in mind for the designer. In my previous life, when I was the team leader in a garment workshop, I had received the design manager of the company. Since we were from the same province, we had a few conversations. She said she graduated from the China Academy of Art. Calculating her age, she should be in her junior year now. I tried my best to persuade her, and with Bonnie constantly acting cute. In the end, her father agreed. He asked me, "How much salary do you want?" "I'll be in charge of the operation. I hope to have relative freedom in decision-making. And I want 15% of the net profit as my income." Bonnie's father smiled. "If we lose money, you won't get a single cent." "We won't lose money. If we still lose money in this situation. And I've really lived my life in vain for decades." At that time, Taobao didn't have Tmall stores yet. We first registered an individual store. Since there was no 7-day no-reason return policy, we didn't even need to pay a deposit. In 2007, the store was officially launched, named New Life. It was the new life of Bonnie's father's factory. And it was also my new life. I was so busy every day that I hardly had time to rest. I rode an electric scooter and shuttled around everywhere. To facilitate communication, I bought a second-hand laptop. Excel was far away in Beijing, and he was also busy with his studies. Sometimes we chatted on QQ, but after just a few words, I had to go and deal with other things. The night before the store was launched, he said to me, "Astra, it's windy in Beijing. It's probably going to snow again. I feel like you're also like a gust of wind that I can't hold on to." It was already past 1 o'clock in the morning. I looked up and saw the stars outside the window. I smiled and replied, "The weather in Hanghouse is very nice. I saw a lot of stars." Excel, to me, had a low sigh. "You were also like a star in the sky that I couldn't reach before. Why do you have to hold on to me? I'm the wind. And you're the star. We can always be under the same sky and walk side by side." After a long time, he replied, "So you still remember what I said back then?" One day when chatting with Excel, he said that after being admitted to Tingshui University, he received a lot of bonuses. After paying his mother's medical expenses, he still had over 100 yuan on him and wanted to make some investments. I opened the stock software and took a look, then told him, "Buy stocks. You can make a profit no matter what you buy now. But when the Shanghai Composite Index reaches 6.0 points, you must sell all of them and never hold on to them." In my previous life, I didn't play the stock market either. The reason I knew this was because there was a workshop supervisor in our factory. In 2008, due to the sharp decline in the stock market, all his money disappeared, and he owed a huge debt. In the end, he couldn't bear the shock and committed suicide by jumping off a building. At that time, there was a lot of discussion in the factory, and I heard many people say that stocks should be sold when the index reached 6.0 points. Excel believed me. Looking at the rising stocks day by day, he asked me if I was a prophet. "Excel, do you know a flower called the snow willow? It is cut off and dried, and everyone thinks it's dead. But as long as it is given enough water, it can bloom again. I'm not a prophet. I'm just a snow willow that has come back to life." My focus was still on the operation of the store. Our target customer group was young urban women. They had purchasing power and were willing to try new things. In just 1 year, the store had made great progress. In 2008, it was a year when Taobao took off. And it was also the year when the New Life women's clothing store experienced explosive growth. It managed to turn Bonnie's father's factory around from the brink of loss and made a profit quickly. Because I had to balance my studies and work, and often go to the factory to check samples, I forced myself to get a driver's license and bought a second-hand car. Bonnie's father kept his promise and always gave the dividends on time every 6 months. In the summer of my sophomore year, Vesper took the college entrance examination. He was admitted to a 211 university. My parents were overjoyed and held a grand banquet, calling me and insisting that I must go back to join in the fun. I wore a new set of clothes, put on sunglasses, and drove a second-hand car into the village. Everyone was stunned, including my parents. I hadn't been home for the past 2 years. Every time they called and asked if I was short of money, I said no. In their minds, I probably just managed to make a living by tutoring. The most astonished ones were my cousin Aunt and Blaine's mother. The two of them huddled together, whispering. Finally, heading to Feldmeyer. My cousin Aunt said contemptuously, Astra. Students should study hard. They can't take the wrong path. Blaine's mother echoed. We can turn money in an improper way. You see. In their eyes. For a woman to earn a lot of money, she can only do it by selling her body. Even my parents looked hesitant. Where did you get so much money? What are you wearing? The skirt is so short. And this top doesn't even have sleeves. Everyone started talking about it. Surprisingly, it was the niece of the village party secretary who came to visit relatives that helped me out of the awkward situation. Guess what? That niece worked on an assembly line. She had seen me when I went to the factory to handle goods before. But there were so many workers that I didn't remember her at all. For a moment, the villagers were in an uproar. They all asked me how I managed to earn so much money. And they said enviously that it was still necessary to study. You see, I could drive a car and wear such high-end clothes and shoes while still in college. My parents were beaming with joy. My father grabbed my hand and laughed heartily. I always knew she would be successful. You all told me not to support my daughter's studies at that time. Now you know. My daughter is really capable. Everyone flattered me. The elders in the clan morally kidnapped me. Since you've made money, you should be responsible for your younger brother's tuition and living expenses in the future. Your family's house is too old. Give your parents some money to build a big house to live in. I couldn't be bothered to pay attention to them. My cousin Aunt pulled me aside and put on a flattering smile. Your cousin has been idle at home for several years and still can't find a job. You're so capable now. You must arrange something for him. What does he want to do? My cousin Aunt slapped her thigh. Of course. He wants to work in an office, drinking tea and reading newspapers every day. He can't do anything too tiring. His health has always been poor. As for the salary, 2,000 yuan a month is enough. He's a proper graduate of a technical secondary school. I couldn't help but laugh. The factory of my classmate's family is short of security guards. The salary is 800 yuan a month, with 3 shifts. If my cousin is willing to go, I can introduce him. My cousin Aunt's face turned as ugly as it could be. But she didn't dare to scold me to my face like before. Because our positions had already changed. In the past 2 years, I rarely kept in touch with my family. But Vesper would call me every once in a while. We didn't have much in common to talk about, so we would just ask each other if we had eaten and how we were recently. And then hang up. That night, after all the guests had left, my father said, Uncle D's storefront is going to be relocated. He seems to be in some trouble now. He helped you back then. So you should go and see him. Sometimes, I really don't know how to judge my family. They are selfish. But they also know how to be grateful. Early the next morning, I went to find Uncle D. The bus station had been relocated, and his small store wasn't doing well. He wanted to find a new storefront. But he didn't have enough money. I gave him 80 yuan. Uncle D refused to accept it no matter what. It's not easy for you, a young girl, to earn this money. Keep it for yourself and use it as your dowry in the future. Take it. You deserve it. The help you gave me back then was far more valuable than this money. If you hadn't given me a hand when I was in the most difficult situation, I might have been working on an assembly line now. After much persuasion, Uncle D finally accepted it. He wiped the corner of his eye. It's great. I didn't choose the wrong person. I'm really happy to see you become successful. My parents wanted me to pay for Vesper's tuition and living expenses. He refused. I'm a grown man with hands and feet. Why should I be supported by a woman? She can earn money while in college. Can't I? I don't want it. At that moment, I realized that he had grown up. Spoiling and over-indulgence are like aphids on a small tree. Over time, they will eventually eat up the sapling. And although the violent wind and rain will blow the tree around, only by going through such trials can the sapling finally stand on its own. After that summer vacation, my status changed. At family gatherings. In the past, when there were a lot of guests, I wasn't allowed to sit at the table. Now, there is always a place for me. When the elders in the clans scold the children, they will say, "If only you could be half as worry-free as your sister Astra." All kinds of aunts and uncles want to get some benefits from me. My parents are easily influenced and would speak for those relatives from time to time. Unfortunately, having fulfilled their words don't work. One year on the first day of the Lunar New Year, I went to pay New Year's respects to Uncle D. My mother looked downcast. "Astra, do you hate me?" We were also in a difficult situation at that time. I can't say I hate her. It's hard to get close to her. For the rest of my life, I will fulfill my duty as a daughter. Give them money when necessary. And buy things for them. But my heart doesn't belong to this family. Nor does it belong to my parents. In my senior year of college, Blaine got married. His partner was a female worker in his factory. On the 26th day of the 12th lunar month, the two of them were wearing red and cheap toast clothes and went from table to offer toasts. At night, my junior high school classmates invited me to go and tease the newlyweds. I stood at the door of the bridal chamber and watched them fool around without any sense of propriety. It was as if I saw myself in my previous life. I felt very uncomfortable that day and wanted Blaine to stop them. But he said, "It's a joyous occasion. Don't spoil the fun." Later, I chased those people away with a broom. And my mother-in-law blamed me for being impolite. I suddenly felt it was boring and turned around and left. Several years passed, and the muddy roads in the countryside had been paved with cement. More and more people were going out into the outside world. But have their concepts really been reshaped? I'm not sure. A light snow started to fall. Blaine chased after me. He was drunk, and his face was red as he blocked my way. "Astra, if I had also gone to high school at that time, would you have noticed me?" "No. I'd rather never get married than be with you," I replied ruthlessly. "Treat your wife well and stop being a mummy's boy." The snowflakes fell on my face. Feeling faintly cold, perhaps I would also become his unattainable white moonlight. It's because I'm good enough and hard to get that I'm qualified to be his white moonlight. When I was almost home, my phone rang. It was Excel calling. "I have something I want to tell you." "I've signed a contract with a big company in Hanghouse. We'll be able to meet again soon. Congratulations. Astra, I'm really looking forward to seeing you again." In the darkness, his voice was gentle. "I'll send you a photo." The signal in the village was poor. After a while, a picture appeared on QQ. It was a branch of snow willow in full bloom, inserted in a glass bottle. And there was a message from Excel: "They are tenacious and beautiful. Just like you, Astra." The end.